super quick reaction. First thing I want to talk about quickly is the Jokic dominance. So guy puts up 41, 11, and 7, and 3 steals, shooting 80% from the floor in 38 minutes and getting to the line, well, taking 12 free throws. I'm seeing this question more and more. I think people are sort of misguided when they see these crazy production numbers from Jokic. Switching the question from how do you stop Jokic to how much can we afford to let him score versus hedging our bets on somebody else beating us by making him play make. What you saw tonight was Chris Finch double down on Rudy Gobert. They let Rudy go one-on-one with the greatest player on the planet, and that is what the greatest player on the planet will do. Individually, he will produce those kinds of numbers, but his team was only 1 point ahead of the Timberwolves with 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Jokic is basically the next evolution of James Harden. Instead of Harden's step back 3, which is unstoppable when, you can create the space and hit that shot, Jokic is unstoppable as well, close to the basket. When you do what you can to actually stop it, aka bring help, both guys are able to make the right reads and know where their teammates are going to be and, create an advantage. Then you're playing 4-on-3 or something else, right? And why this is a new evolution is, one, Jokic is obviously near the basket to begin with, which just means it's going to be bang, bang. It's going to be a lot faster. Jokic is taller, which means that even if you bring a double team, a second defender over, depending on how tall or how big the second defender is, he'll literally just be able to look clean over him, most likely, and most of the time that is the case. So truly getting him uncomfortable or off balance, it's harder to do that. And then there's the schematic and strategic evolution of this, where instead of having standstill shooters around the perimeter around him, you just have a ring of piranhas just waiting to just feast at the rim. Jokic is able to throw these really, really quick, short distance passes to these hyper athletic teammates of his. Whoever made that strategic decision in the era of small ball, not only did they realize Jokic has the capability or potential of being the best point guard in the game, but screw the small ball, we're just gonna have more really tall, really athletic guys on the team who are just going to know exactly when to dive to the basket like a bunch of piranhas because of how unstoppable Jokic is within 15 feet of the basket. I've just been thinking about that a lot. And then I'm also seeing questions around, okay, well, let's say we don't have the defensive player of the year in Rudy Gobert. So unless you want Jokic's 41 points to be 61 points, you're going to have to send doubles. The question becomes, how do we optimize that to protect ourselves and sort of mitigate the potential risk of damage here? Basically, you have to read the game. And that means who has it going, who doesn't, who is frustrated, who is cold and hasn't shot in a long time, who is in their own head. Depending on where Jokic is positioning himself in the paint and starting to do his dribble dance thing, is there a way to somehow force Jokic to give it up to Brown on the outside to make him shoot? Watson do that either? And throughout the game as well, that is going to fluctuate, right? You have to constantly be thinking about who are you going to double off of, and who that help defender is absolutely vital. Can you help off of Michael Porter Jr.? Well, he's a pretty streaky shooter. KCP would probably not double off of him. You really want to try to not let Jokic go so close to the basket where you basically have to have Aaron Gordon's guy come in because he'll be on the other side of the basket in the dunker spot, which Jokic knows is an automatic lob. Jokic can do that literally blindfolded. Give him different looks, try to keep him off balance. It's not about how to stop Jokic. It's about hedging your bet between how good does our center match up with him one-on-one, which will dictate how much are we going to try and show help on him, force him to give it up? Depending on your own personnel, that's how you got to hedge your bets. On to Minnesota quickly. Up until that point, 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they blew some free throws. I said before, Naz Reid went 1 for 5 from the line, and he's like a 43% three-point shooter. I don't know what his free throw percentage is, but I would have to imagine it's north of 80%, probably north of 85. Couple blown layups and had a couple bad misses. Definitely some missed outside shots. Not Jaden's best outside shooting game by any stretch. Only went 1 for 4 from 3. I won't stop saying it because it's so true. Jaden and Kyle have to shoot. I don't even think it's about making the shot, especially against Denver. You got to let Rudy wear Jokic down. Rudy's in there for defense, and then on offense, he's literally there to get rebounds and sometimes finish lobs. He's not going to get a ton of shots, a ton of touches, but every single possession he is on the floor, he is fighting to get the boards. He looks like a goddamn doofus, but like he just puts the ball in the hoop, and Jokic is, maybe Jokic is a little less focused the next time he's got to drive his shoulder into the guy and get the basket in, or maybe he gets a little bit frustrated, right, with the referee, with whoever it is. That's a really big reason I like Minnesota's matchup with this team quite a bit, is because Rudy is obviously has the defensive instincts to innately stand a better chance than almost any other center in a one-on-one scenario. He is a relentless offensive rebounder, and he's also just huge. Back to Jaden and Kyle, you have a center who is second in the league in generating second chance points. Even if you miss, you have the second best second chance point generator in the league. Jaden took 8 field goals in 33 minutes. Anderson only played 15. He took 5 field goals. I think my original take was Jaden and Kyle have to make shots and generate offense. I'm not sure how essential that is, especially with Cat coming back, but they need to take shots because that lets Gobert feast. Then you have Jokic getting exasperated, getting really tired, battling it out right for Gobert. Jokic finished with 5 fouls, if I'm not mistaken. I would have liked to see a little bit of diversity, back to what I was saying with Jokic's dominance. I would have liked to seen a little more diversity with the coverage on Jokic. Finch was like, come get some of my defensive player of the year, Jokic. Come and bring it. Oh, and he brought it just to keep him on his toes. Literally just help off of Christian Brown once to start the fourth quarter. Just to see. Let's just see. Let's just see what happens. Quickly over to Denver. Their guards is the only chink in their defensive armor, and specifically Jamal Murray. I know he's just getting back from injury, playing into condition and yada yada. Michael Malone is a notorious coach for riding his starters. Reggie Jackson is absolute trash. I don't understand how little he's integrated himself, or they have integrated him into their system, because, oh my God, does he seem clueless and unconfident. If I was Coach Finch, I would tell Anthony Edwards to target Jamal in pick and roll every single time. Anthony Edwards torched Jamal Murray, I think 3 times. He actually got the switch off of Christian Brown or KCP, and it wasn't even close. Coming off of injury, 3rd game back, 2nd night of a back-to-back, yada, yada, yada. But look at the rest of Denver's playoff rotation. There's no weakness on the defensive end, really. Jamal's the closest that there is. If you have Jamal brought in the pick and roll, Jamal's going to be guarding Mike Conley, Morris. Monte Morris went 2 for 2 from 3 tonight. Conley shooting the lights out of the 3. You're either going to get the switch onto Jamal, and I'm sorry, Anthony Edwards is going to torch Jamal Murray over 35, 40 minutes a game, or you're not going to switch it, which means Christian Brown, KCP, they're going to be a half step or multiple steps behind the play, behind Anthony Edwards. Ant loves to shoot those middies. If he wants to get going downhill, is one of the scariest things possible. You're going to spray it out to Naz Reid or Karl Anthony Towns or Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I kept thinking to myself throughout this game, would the outcome of this game have been any different had it been in Minnesota? Would it have been a fairer fight given that Cat wasn't able to play? Would Murray on the 2nd game of a back-to-back on his 3rd game after the injury have been a little less steady? Peyton Watson and Christian Brown maybe not have been so fired up and contagiously energetic and all of that? I don't know. What I do know is that it was a 1-point game with 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, And the Minnesota Timberwolves had no Karl Anthony Towns, their second best offensive weapon, playing a full-strength champion roster at altitude. When we think about the larger story, the fact that this deciding head-to-head matchup at this exact point in the season took place in Denver at this exact time with Karl Anthony Towns just on the brink of coming back, but just unable to. And that is why a potential Game 7 in the conference finals will be at altitude again. This is a really cool part of this storyline to me. I'm just reacting after the game. It's just everybody just wants to just poke holes at Defensive Player of the Year because he got dunked on by Christian Brown. If I'm Christian Brown, I'm a little bit annoyed. How about that? Like, that dude has been dunking on people in transition for years. This is the second year in a row now. He's a freak athlete. He's a super high-flying athlete. And I know Defensive Player of the Year is what it is, but, like, he should be doing that every time on virtually everybody. That is it, guys. Hopefully that was insightful, and we will check in again soon. A couple games left. All right, until next time.